From the Scottish lowlands to Vietnam's northern highlands, one coach is transforming lives through the power of rugby. For more than a decade in Vietnam, Johnny Harris has worn many hats, from teaching literature in the classroom to coaching rugby on the field. What began as a career move soon turned into a lifelong passion, as he found himself helping to build Vietnam's rugby community from the ground up. From Hanoi to the country's northern highlands, he has worked with young people, especially women and girls, empowering them through sport and life skill. Stay with us on the Mic this week as we discover how a Scottish coach is bringing the spirit of rugby to new generations in Vietnam.
For more than a decade, living and working in Vietnam and across the Asia-Pacific region, Johnny Harris has continuously strived to make rugby accessible to the community. He has played and coached at the Hanoi Dragons Club, while also working with the International Passive Back program, which used rugby as a template for sports development to equip young people in Vietnam, Laos, and several other Southeast Asian countries with essential life skills. Beyond the field, Johnny has extensive experience in education, training, and human development, particularly through non-governmental organizations and social projects. With these contributions, Johnny Harris has emerged as a leading advocate for grassroots empowerment, affirming the power of education and sports in creating positive change for the community. First of all, thank you for joining us today. So from studying English literature to becoming a teacher, what brought you to Vietnam?
Yeah, so when I first came to Vietnam, I was pursuing a career goal, and that was to get some experience in the classroom as a teacher. Then I was really lucky that I got involved with a sport for development program that was just starting in Vietnam. It was really good timing, right time, right place, and a bit of luck that led me to get back involved with the rugby community and support the program at that time.
What inspired you to share it with the community there?
There was this new program called Passive Back, and it was a sport for development program using rugby to deliver life skills to kids in the community in Vietnam and Laos and other countries around Southeast Asia. I know myself the value and the benefits that a sport like rugby can bring to someone. Luckily, there was an opportunity for me to become more involved with the program and support from training and safeguarding perspective.
I understand that there can be many difficulties in language barriers, so how do you overcome that?
Luckily, I work with a small team of coaches who've been in the sport for 5 and 8 years already in Vietnam. And now we have a good enough relationship that even with my bad Vietnamese, they understand what I'm trying to say. And I've picked up a little bit of Muong over the years as well, so we can switch between some Muong and Vietnamese and English as well.
So as far as I know, rugby activities were originally for both men and women. So why is that only the women team is active now?
What happens is men and boys are actually expected to be the breadwinner for the family. And so where they're not able to earn any income through the sport, they have to go and find other opportunities to be able to support their family. Because rugby is not a popular sport in Vietnam, nobody knows what it is. So it's not for boys, whereas other sports are very popular for boys, and it's harder for girls and women to be part of that or to access that. I think what we see with the girls and the women in the rugby space right now, they've had such a big impact on themselves and their participation in the sport, and so they're really driving the sport themselves so that they can then give the benefit to other young girls in their community. And I think that says a lot about role models in the community where young girls and young women can see themselves represented and can have opportunities to be a leader in their community as well.
Rugby, still a relatively unfamiliar sport in Vietnam, has become a unique passion for young Muong women in Phu Thao province. Nearly 10 years ago, coach Johnny Harris first came here through a community program for local youth. Even after the program ended, he continued to stay patiently training and playing alongside the girls.
Em đã tham gia những cái giải đấu ví dụ như là Hà Nội 10S và Sài Gòn 10S ạ. Những cái giải đấu đấy thì đã mang lại cho mình những cái lợi ích, ví dụ như là thứ nhất là rèn luyện sức khỏe của mình, và thứ hai là mình được trải nghiệm cái bộ môn bóng bầu dục va chạm với các bạn nước khác.
Kỷ niệm đẹp nhất của em có lẽ là đi thi đấu cùng các bạn ở sân bóng xóm Kè, xã Phú Vinh. Nhìn các bạn thi đấu rất là sôi nổi và các bạn rất là tự tin, và mỗi đội có một cái thế mạnh khác nhau ạ.
Sau khi em biết đến Rugby thì em được đi rất là nhiều thành phố khác, thậm chí nữa là em còn được đi những nước khác, ví dụ như Lào với cả Thái Lan thì là em đi nhiều nhất.
Beyond improving physical strength, the sport has opened opportunity and nurtures confidence among young women, a true story of gender inclusion and rural transformation.
What were the challenges when sharing rugby to the highlands of Vietnam for the first time?
Definitely there are some challenges specifically for young girls and women participating in the sport. Typically around 15, 16, 17 years old. Even if a young girl has been playing rugby since she was 10 or 11, they're then expected to stay at home, do chores, look after the family, take a lot more responsibility within the family sphere. And beyond that, 18, 19, 20, typically we see people going to get married. There's no space anymore for participation in sport activities because it's seen as something that's not necessary and not really important. And that's something that we're trying to work with and help parents to understand actually the benefits that their daughters will still get if they continue to participate in the sport.
What potential do you see for rugby in Vietnam?
Over the last 10 years living here, I've seen a huge increase in the participation of kind of younger adults, certainly in urban areas, in sport and fitness activities. So that's been a huge shift where people maybe have a little bit more time, maybe a little bit more money and more enthusiasm to keep fit and stay mentally healthy. That I think is really important, and I think that's a massive, massive shift for the society to have. And again, I think that rugby can play a huge part in that space where people value sport more and they have more time and ability to participate in sport more. And I also think that Vietnam is a sleeping giant in rugby. So Daviet Rugby is helping to create the structures at the grassroots level up to a national team and different, federated governance structures. We hope that through Daviet Rugby's community programs, through our domestic competitions, that we can create enough interest and create rugby fans who are really willing to, and they see the benefit of supporting rugby for the better of the society in Vietnam. And I think within 5 or 10 years, a national rugby team of Vietnam will be very competitive in ASEAN and across Asia as well, especially the women.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Johnny. And we look forward to see the rising of rugby in Vietnam.
In a country where rugby remains largely unknown, one coach and a group of determined young women are showing how sport can transform lives one tackle at a time.